Welcome to Trucking with Fitz. Today, well, we got a little bit of a topical video, and let's discuss something today. We're going to talk about buying your first truck, what to look for, what kind of truck you need, and a lot of this video is going to be my truck journey. Talk about the different trucks I've owned, why I purchased them, if they were good decisions. Stay tuned for some trucking. All right, guys. So this is my truck. This is a 1998 Freightliner FLD. As you can see, I have a flatbed behind it. I pull power only for a Menards distribution center in Marshalltown, Iowa. And this honestly, this FLD is sort of perfect for what I'm doing. A little bit about it. It's like I said, it's a 1998. It's got a Cat 3406E under the hood. It is a 120. It is not a 112. That's important because then you can get the 3406E in it rather than the smaller kitty cats. It's got a 13 speed and 370 rears. The 370 rears is something that I would change, but 13 speed and the Cat, nope. I love it. Like I said, we're pulling flatbeds. Got a number of different types of flatbeds we pull. So it's drop and hook on the pickup end, and it is live delivery at Menards stores. Let's see. I got 22.5, 11R 22.5s is what I got. All aluminum around, all the way around. They need polished. That tank needs polished. That's the main things about the truck there that are important. Why do I think this is a good setup? Well, sleeper's small, so I run basically local. We might every once in a while sleep in a sleeper. So a small sleeper is perfect for that. Have the option, but don't have to. It's not in the way. Cat, why is that good? Well, I mean, right now I don't have my tune on there, so I don't have that much horsepower, but she's got a good amount of power. She's reliable, and haven't had any major engine problems with this truck. I've owned it for a year and maybe a year and a half almost at this point. The fact that it's 22.5s rather than 24.5s, that's, some people have lots of opinions about that. But see, we have a lot of different people that hook onto these trailers, and having 22.5s is better because you're closer to what everybody else is as far as height goes. Fifth wheel is right about the right size. The tanks are 140s, or actually I have one 140, and I fill up every day. But I'm not going long haul, so it's really not that big of a deal, you know. So that's good. The 13 speed is nice because we do get right up to 80,000 pounds. And going up hills and stuff like that, it's nice to have that 13 speed. The 370s, not my ideal, but along those same lines, it's good gearing for pulling hills with this heavy load. I would probably choose to put 355s or 342s would be my ideal, because then I can get my RPMs down and I can get better fuel economy. Average fuel economy, I'm gonna right now in the summer, if I was to do a 30-day average, I would probably be getting upper sixes, probably 670, 680. The winter was not so good, and the wind, it's not so good. But right now in the summer, with the wind the way it is here in central Iowa, I get around 7 miles per gallon doing what I do. Out heavy, back empty with the skateboard. So I think this is a pretty good setup. It's an older truck. It's not paid off yet. It will be in the next year. Once it's paid off, man, it's going to be perfect. But this isn't the truck I've always had, and this isn't always what I've done. But for me right now, where I'm at, this is great. I call this truck the, well, I call it the boss, but an FLD is sort of a poor man's hood truck, in my opinion. Y'all can judge me for that. Some of you guys are diehard FLD fans. I am actually not. I would rather a W9, but didn't have the money for that. So here we are. We have a hood. It's not as long as a W9, but it's getting there. It's getting there. It's a poor man's hood truck. We're gonna call it that. But yeah, that's a little bit about what I do and why this truck is good, and why I would purchase it again. Right now is a great time to buy because the prices are down. But let's talk a little bit about the trucks that I've owned. Okay, what trucks have I owned? So I might swap my legs here because there's a lot of bugs. You can see there's standing water in the field behind me. I believe the field behind me is a seed court field, if anybody cares. What trucks have I owned? So I started my authority in 2018, and I was running flatbed hotshot. So when I first started, I had was it a 97 or a 98 Ram 2500 and with Cummins automatic. Yes, I trashed the transmission. That's why I got rid of it. And I had a 20-foot long gooseneck trailer. I was non-CDL hotshot is what I was. I enjoyed that. Honestly, it was a lot of fun. And that's how I got started. I never have worked for anybody else. I started my authority and went at it because I wanted the freedom. That's part of the reason why I did it in the first place. So we did that, and then I ran a what year was that? 2009 Chevy 2500 HD with Duramax and Allison. That one did great. I took that one from 170 something thousand miles to over 300,000 miles and sold it last fall, after it had really sat for a while. But it was while I had that truck, I think. So I moved to Iowa in fall of 2019. The winter of 2019, I got my CDL and thought I was going to immediately go out and get a truck. I was very wrong. There are a lot of things that you don't know when getting into it. One thing you don't know is that personal credit and business credit are two completely different things. And so literally right after I got my license, I took the test, got my license, they printed it off, and I drove straight to a dealer. Sort of got laughed at because didn't have much money to put down on a truck, and I didn't have any business credit. And I had no experience with my CDL. So that didn't work out. So I kept running hot shot through the winter. And then about this time, 2020, I purchased my first semi-truck. I purchased it for $4,000. It was a 1988 Volvo white GMC WIA, with a 9-speed and a big cam Cummins. That was my first experience with a semi-truck. And I thought all would be fine. I figured I had a couple things to fix on it, and then I'd be good to go. $4,000. That's not very much money. Anyway, I took it to go get a DOT inspection done. And the guy that was doing it just sort of laughed. He grabbed one thing and said, "Yeah, you're not going to pass." What I should have done was, hey, do the whole inspection and give me a list of things I need to work on. So I ended up doing that later. At that point, I almost gave up. But I didn't, because I tried to sell it and I couldn't. So I eventually decided I was going to fix it myself. I'm just going to do it. What's it going to hurt? So I took it to a local shop and had him make a list of the things that I needed fixed before we passed the DOT inspection. And I got a fire hose of learning about working on semi-trucks. Before that, I had never worked on a semi-truck before. It all had been personal vehicles. And so yeah, I had bushings, T-bar, torque rod, whatever you want to call it. I had to send off the injection pump to get rebuilt because it was leaking. What else did I do in that truck? Various seals. It needed tires. I'm trying to think of anything else it needed. I can't remember. It was a bunch of stuff. What is that called? Not the Pitman arm, but the drag link. That guy replaced the drag link, and that was the initial thing that the first guy found. Anyway, making a long story long, aren't I? Finally got that one in position to work. Passed the DOT inspection. In the fall. It would have been September, and thought I was gonna hit the ground running. Started off doing power only. The very first load that I went to go pick up, I broke down. And it was losing power in the hills over here on the way to Cedar Rapids. And oh man, I was so frustrated. You know, there's so many highs and lows. I had just been really excited that I got all this stuff figured out myself and fixed. And I was good to go. My authority was good. All the stuff with the DOT was good to go. FMCSA, all that crap. I try to go pick up my first power only load, which is the way I started, was trying to do power only off the load board, which would have worked fine. But first load, I got 20 miles down the road and died. I had to have my wife come pick me up. You always hear stories about how somebody breaks down, they really need help, and they go to the house close by, and people are so nice. Well, I tried doing that. Tried to get a jump because I was trying to turn it over and get it started because I had found some leaking fuel lines after I rebuilt that motor. And the only house that I could get to that wasn't 5 miles away was just completely rejected. Like, I had just walked like a mile to get to this house, and they just completely turned me away. I was like, all right, I guess I'm gonna walk back to my truck. Anyway, we got it figured out. It was a loose fuel line, sucking air. Got it figured out, but I had to cancel those loads. I don't remember what I did next. I think I did a little bit of Schneider power only off the load board. And I probably only did power only for a week before I was way too frustrated. And I had gone down to, this is really getting long. It's gonna be a long story time video. Hold on just a second. We can keep talking while I'm walking around. I'm at my new house, if you guys are wondering. Anyway, I was down in Kansas City, dropped off a power only load. I don't remember what it was. Oh, it was a reefer. It was a empty reefer from Target. I forget where I dropped off. It doesn't matter. When I parked for that evening, I slept in that truck a couple times. Anyway, that was sort of miserable. I found TNT Sales and Rental. And that evening, before closing, I applied, and I got approved in the morning. They're located, I think they have a location in Kansas City now, but they were located over by St. Louis, and got approved. Found a power only load going from Kansas City to St. Louis. Took that over there that evening. Actually, that wasn't the next morning. It didn't matter. I picked up a 48-foot flatbed, and I was so excited. And honestly, that was great. It was awesome. Picked up my first equipment, flatbedding equipment, not actual equipment. And ran my first load, which was a load of, I wonder where that went. I don't remember where it delivered, but it was railroad ties it might have been to a Menards. I don't remember exactly where it went, but that was my first one, and first load, and I loved pulling that flatbed. That truck was a dog. Had no power. It had like 390 gears or something like that, or 410, and it was slow. I always had a line behind me on 2-lane, like going to Cedar Rapids, where it used to be up and down 2-lane in those hills. Oh, it was it was miserable. That was not, I guess it was a good first truck, but I learned a lot from that truck. But it was a turd. So slow, no power. Great learning experience. I should probably just move on. So I ran that truck for a month or two, and I was headed to Marion, and I was pulling live loads out of Menards, actually. So I was headed to the Menards in Marion, and I was probably 3/4 of the way there, and I hit a bump really weird, and all of a sudden I smelled coolant real bad. So I pulled over, and I had coolant spraying everywhere out of the radiator, and man, that was a very frustrating fall, because at the same time we were in the throes of COVID, and the mail system was terrible, and I went for like 3 or 4 weeks, maybe even more, without getting paid for Menards. So I was basically broke at this point. I had a couple grand in my business checking account, and I was basically broke. And then this happens. It almost put me under. Oh, fun. So there's a note. When buying your first truck, have a nest egg. Don't be stupid like me. Anyway, so I finished that load. I dumped a bunch of stop leak in it, which is not great for it. Don't do that. But it got me home, and maybe that's the point. Maybe that's the point of the stuff. It got me home, parked the truck, and what in the world am I going to do? Thankfully, at that point, I had my CDL for a year now. So I got on the internet, and I found OTR leasing, which I don't necessarily recommend, but that's what I did. And you guys may have seen a picture or two. I don't know if I've shown it or not. Maybe if I have a picture, I'll post it right now. Of my T800 that I got from them. Had a 10-speed PACCAR motor, 342 rears. Honestly, I missed that truck. I really missed that truck. It was a 2015. I got it with 400 and something thousand miles on it, and I ran it into the 600s, well into the 600s. That maybe was not the best decision, but honestly, it did really well for me for about a year. And then I had some problems. I sat for a number of months because of high pressure. Well, what I thought was a high pressure fuel pump problem, but it ended up being a sensor. Everybody struggles with working on PACCAR, though. Nobody has a computer or the knowledge to work on them, it seems like. Not everybody, but you know what I mean. That truck was set up well. Would I recommend doing OTR leasing? I don't know. It was what I needed at the time. I couldn't have made a better decision about it, because I still didn't have business credit. I didn't have a lot of cash to do a down payment, and I didn't need a big down payment. And the market was great then. Through the end of 2020 and into 2021. I had that truck running hard until the winter of 2021. Just before Christmas, that truck broke down on me. Lost power. I had to get towed. That was that sensor issue. We won't talk about PACCAR. Today is not the day to talk about PACCAR. This video is going to be long anyway because I'm story timing it. So, that truck was down from Christmas till mid-March, I believe. In beginning of March there is when I purchased that green truck, because when I purchased the green Kenworth W900, I had no hope of when that truck was going to get fixed. The mechanic didn't know it was wrong. He was completely stumped. He was trying a bunch of random things. And he eventually went back to the very first thing that I fixed myself, the sensor that I'm talking about. So I don't know if the sensor was bad from Kenworth, which it very well could have been, or if I broke it. But that sensor was what fixed it all. But it was the first thing I replaced. So, yeah. Anyway, I bought the truck, the green truck. I got it running on a Wednesday. I got it ready to go on a Wednesday. And the T800 was fixed like the next day. It was like the next day. So that green W900 was never a good decision. It never was a good decision. I never should have bought it. But that wasn't the only truck that I purchased when I was down like that. I just remembered this right now. I never actually ran the truck. I purchased a 89 Volvo white WIA. That one I should have just ran. I should have fixed it, and I should have ran it. It's still running right now. It's for sale, actually. I purchased that for $8,000. It had a B model cat in it and a 13-speed. I should have ran it, but I went to get it DOT inspected, and it had too many problems, and I gave up on it. See, you notice the theme. I make bad decisions sometimes. Sometimes we make bad decisions. I honestly thought it was the best decision at the moment, but have a nest egg, friends. Thankfully, at this point, when the T800 went down, I had $27,000 in the bank. So I had money to fix the truck, and I had this money I was playing with to buy other trucks. So I wasn't necessarily hurting, but I was chomping at the bit. I was so bored. I was depressed, if I'm being honest, looking back on it. Sitting at home doing nothing in the middle of the winter. It was not a good time. Anyway, I turned around and sold that truck. Shouldn't have, but I did. And then I bought the green truck, and then my T800 was fixed the next day. So I had two trucks I was making payments on at the same time. I'm feeling all these emotions again because that was a very low spot for me. So I sort of went back and forth between the two trucks all summer long. In fact, I ran that W900 a good bit that summer. Took it all the way out to Wyoming. And then the week of Thanksgiving, back up. I went for a month or two, and I let the T800 sit. When I came back to it and started it up again, here, hold on, guys. Potential spam. Anyway, where was I? So I let it sit for a couple months, and then the first time I started up, it puffed white smoke at the beginning. And this wasn't the winter. I didn't think anything of it at first. I ran it for a couple weeks, and it got worse. And then I stood behind it when I started it like that, and I smelled coolant. Oh, not a good feeling. Not a good smell. Terrible smell. I tried to see if it was the EGR cooler and stuff like that. It was not. So, yeah. I had to retire that one. So I scrambled, and I had to do a bunch of things to the green truck, because that's why I had to switch back. And I had to get a fifth wheel plate low enough, because I was running dry van at that point. And I didn't want to be illegal. And I got it running, and I ran it for like 2 or 3 days. That's it. And hit a bump weird. Started hearing a different sound. More noise on the top end. And the next day, it dropped the valve. Kaput! You guys have heard that story, so I won't go into depth. The details of that. Trying to get it rebuilt and getting screwed and putting a hole in the block and all that fun stuff. And I got to March of last year, and at that point I was renting a truck, and I just couldn't do it anymore, and I purchased this FLD. It was a necessity buy. I bought it at when the market was still up, so I paid 40 grand for that truck. I don't think I've ever told you guys how much I paid for it. I paid 40 grand, and I had to take out another loan. So I had just sold that T800. I just had gone from, well, there was a point where I had 2 payments plus the rental payment. I was getting milked. Like, oh, I was hurting so bad. I wasn't paying myself. Woo! I'm telling you a lot of details right now. That was a bad point. Another low point. It's not all fun and roses. Is that the word? Guns and roses? Nah, never mind. You guys know what I'm talking about. Sold the T800 and purchased the FLD. And so I had 2 trucks. One had a hole in the block. One was the FLD. And it was very tight. It was very tight. Yeah, glad I have the FLD. The engine has been very good to me. The truck has been very good to me, knock on wood. Finally got that W900 sold. That's why I was so excited to sell the W900. I would have wanted to make it into something. I really did. But it's sort of the saying goodbye to a bad decision that I made. Now we're in the FLD, and we're running for Menards, consistent freight. We're paying it off. I hope to have it paid off in the next year. If the engine goes kaput, I'll rebuild it. We'll figure it out. I'm going to pay it off. But all that to say, buying your first truck, please, please, please have a nest egg. Please have a great nest egg. If you're buying it cash, buying a truck cash is awesome. But you have to have a nest egg on top of the cash that you use to buy the truck. I mean, it makes sense, right? You got to have it. And man, you really need $20,000. I mean, you need a lot of money. I'm not going to say necessarily that you need $20,000, but man, you need a nest egg. You just do. Buying your first truck, have a nest egg. Have people around you can rely upon. As far as getting information to work on your truck, YouTube's great. I need to shut up about that stuff and move on. So, suggestions for buying your first truck. Number 1, harp on it again, have a nest egg. 2, what industry are you going to go into and know your freight? Know know what freight you're going to run. I don't recommend buying a truck and expecting to be able to run power only immediately unless you have a dedicated gig set up, like this Menards gig. If I had had this Menards gig set up at the beginning, I would have been fine. I would have been just fine. Know what don't just make a rash decision, buy a truck and just jump out it there into the spot market like everything's going to be fine. Like I did. That was stupid. Don't do it. So nest egg, know what freight you're getting into. That second one is really important because you could ask what truck should be your first truck. And it completely depends on your industry. That green truck, I told you when I was switching to dry van, I had to go out and I had to swap out the fifth wheel plate for a shorter one because I wasn't going to be legal. Oh, I'm getting called again. This might be a little louder, but that was the component. It doesn't matter the company. The HVAC guy saying he's going to be closer to 2 rather than 1. So I get to sit here for a little while longer. I might just take a nap. That might be what I do after I finish this video and edit it. Seems how it's going to be a really long video. Anyway, we were talking about the list of things that you need to remember when buying a truck. That second one was know what industry you're going into, because that can change specific specs that you're looking for when purchasing a truck. Like that fifth wheel plate, how the dry van was going to be too high, so I had to put a different fifth wheel plate on it. If you're pulling a van, you could probably have a lower gear ratio. But if you're pulling heavy, what if you're pulling 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 axle power bottom? You know what I'm talking about. You've got the extra axle on the trailer and extra axle on the truck, and you're pulling 90, 100,000 pounds. You're grossing. You probably need a higher gear ratio. By higher, I mean a bigger number. 370s, 390s, maybe 355s. I don't know. The fuel economy at that point is not going to be as big a deal because you're already pulling way heavy. You know, you got to think about those things. Are you going to be doing local? Are you going to be doing over the road? Are you going to be out for a month? All those things are important. My small sleeper is perfect for me. I can sleep in it every once in a while, but I don't have to. It's not in my way, and it doesn't add extra weight, really. I do not like a day cab. I won't buy a day cab again. Why? Because it was uncomfortable. I didn't have enough room for things. My knees were in my chest. I'm 6'1", so I'm not real tall, but I ain't short. It was very uncomfortable. I would not do that again. 10 out of 10, would not recommend for me again. The freight that I was running at the time was fine for that, but I need more legroom. Need more space to spread out and put my stuff. And I do sleep in it every once in a while. So I do need a sleeper. I really wanted to put a coffin sleeper on that and spread the wheelbase. Anyway, that's beside the point. Never mind. That's going to make me, when I think about that green truck, I almost always get frustrated. Never should have bought it in the first place. All right, what else? A very important factor in all this. So first, nest egg. Gotta have a nest egg. 2, know what industry you're going into. 3, are you mechanically inclined? That's important. I'm not gonna say I'm a mechanic, but I am relatively mechanically inclined. I have had a decent amount of experience working on vehicles. And I've had a fire hose smashed in my face of information because of breakdowns. You need to be able to work on your truck yourself. Otherwise, you are going to be ripped a new one. Maybe I shouldn't say it that way. Is that too crude? I don't know. I didn't say the actual words. You need to be able to work on your own truck. If you're going to buy an old truck, you need to be able to work on your own truck. If you buy a new truck, you're still going to have to work on it. You got to know a little bit. But, man, if you're not mechanically inclined, don't buy an old truck. Please don't do it. You will regret it. And you'll be frustrated and you will be broke. I'm broke. What does that mean? Never mind. You know what I'm saying. Should you buy a new truck? Man, payments are a lot. I don't think that's smart. If I'm not very mechanically inclined and I don't want to have a lot of breakdowns, I would buy something with still a warranty on it, but that it's not new, that it's already depreciated. My 2 cents. Let's see, what are other factors? Let me think. Those are the big ones. For me in my situation, this Freightliner FLD 120 is sort of perfect. And I'm glad I have it. I'm thankful for it. It needs AC fixed. But yeah, those are my thoughts. It was story time. Don't do what I did. Have an nest egg. Learn as much as you can about fixing them beforehand. Not like I did. Yeah. Have a plan. Know what industry you're going to get into. And don't just dive in without having that plan, because you'll get learned very fast. So comment down below what your thoughts are on buying your first truck. If you have any stories about trucks, if you have any suggestions for me personally on what I should do differently, that's fine. I don't necessarily have to take them, but I'd love to listen, and maybe it'll help the people that are watching this video learn something. Because we all have different opinions. But comment down below, subscribe to the channel. We'll see you on the next one.